We're back. It's the Coachable Podcast. I'm Tori. This is Jared.
Wow, I'm back.
He's back.
Different studio, though.
2 weeks in a row, different studio, but excited to be back together. And this, I don't know. There's questions people have.
We got such good feedback on the last episode.
Great
Everyone
feedback.
thinks we're dating. It's adorable.
Okay, so we'll start there.
We're not.
Are we dating?
No, we're not. We're very close friends, though.
Great friends.
Great chemistry.
Yes.
And that's usually when I tell people what I do interview, like it's like a date.
Yeah.
You're talking to someone, you have to have that back and forth.
For sure.
So I had a blast on the last episode. Really good feedback.
On our last date.
Yeah, on our last date.
We're not dating, but if you were to be dating someone, where would you take them?
Costco, obviously. So here's a funny thing. Again, I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
There are no coincidences in life.
Okay.
I have run into Tori in the wild once in the 6 months that we've known each other. Guess where?
Costco.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think there's something, and again, I know a lot of women have this thing for Target. It's like a Target fetish. Mm-hmm. And I understand it.
Yeah.
I was married. I get it. We used to go to Target all the time, and it was an experience. But I think when women are at Target, they're like locked in, tunnel vision. I think at Costco, because of the free samples and because of just the vibe, it's a little more conducive to. I literally bump into people at Target, not just you, but other people. And I'm like, that person looks really familiar.
Yeah.
And I don't talk to them. She's the only person I've actually talked to at Target.
Yeah.
But it's a vibe.
Not at Target, at Costco.
Oh, at Costco, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. I saw
Target's
him.
our next thing, though,
True.
right?
I saw him in the line, and I was like, Jared, what's up? Yeah, because it's just I go there at least once a week, probably.
I would say once a week. Mm-hmm. And also, again, I was not made up at all. You were not. You were after a workout. Like, I was looking very dressed down. That's the best time. Then what this person looks like when they're not putting on their mask.
In the wild.
You in the wild.
Yeah. But to debunk or to let you guys know, we're not dating. But Jared does know a little bit about my dating life, and I know a little bit about his dating life.
She does.
And here's the thing. Jared is a safe place for me to just be me. And for me to talk about all the things that are happening in my life.
With cameras and microphones involved.
Also, yes.
But the calmness allows you to kind of be a little more free, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Which is why you're back. And because this year, I'm trying to be a little bit more open with my audience. I know you guys want to get to know me more. And I think these types of shows kind of open the door to letting people into my world a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think, again, Tori's one of those people that I would consider high value. So I'm not to say all women are in that category, but when you're chasing a high value woman, there are certain rules you need to adhere to.
What are those?
Well, obviously you can't be an asshole. I think
that is like
that's the baseline.
Can't even get in the door.
Communication.
Like, I'm not an asshole. Can I get in?
Yeah, but also like we talked about this on our last episode. Just the baseline level of communication I think you require, which is most women probably require it, but they don't always express it because if they express it, then they're being difficult or then they're being too much. Yeah. And it's just like there's this balance of what am I willing to share with this new person that I don't know of what my expectations are. Mm-hmm. Without making me seem like I'm this crazy person. It's a hard line to walk. It's hard.
Do you want the tea?
Hell yeah, I want the tea. That's the whole reason we're here. We're not here to hear about my dating life. It's very boring compared to yours.
We can, don't worry. The tables will be turned.
I'm sure.
But the most recent tea. So I have been seeing someone recently.
Okay.
On and off.
Is this the person that I think we're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay. Yeah. He's a very high value person as well.
And I think I'm stepping away from that.
Okay. I did not know this. This is a news break.
That's why I say, do you want the tea?
This is a news break.
Yeah.
Give me the lead in and the lead out.
Because of what you just said. Okay, here's the thing about me. I have a low tolerance for bullshit. And that is like, I think one of the challenging things about being with me, because I won't put up with certain things for a long, long period of time. Once I start to recognize behavior patterns over and over again, I'm not going to analyze it myself. I analyze it so much to try and figure out, well, why are you doing this? Is it because of this? Do
You're
you
just gonna
like?
step away.
Yeah, it's just like I'm just gonna notice the behavior, and I'm just gonna let that speak for
It's a
itself.
non-confrontational approach, but it's at least you're aware of that.
Well, it was around what you said, communication. And here's the thing: I don't have time for inconsistency. I have a life. I have things that I'm like doing. I have friends that I'm spending time with, and I don't have time to entertain a man that doesn't know what he wants and is inconsistent about pursuing that. And so, actually, if you want the real tea, so we had an amazing night, came over, spent the night.
Oh.
First night we came over, and that we actually like
Yeah, had a
had an
sleepover.
extended
Yeah.
like time together.
Cohabitation for long periods in your home is a big deal.
It was.
Yeah.
It was great. He gets on a flight the next morning, has to go to LA. My dad's coming in town. Don't hear from him for 3 days.
So he left.
He texts me. So he texts me that day.
Okay.
And he texts me the next morning.
Okay. But he didn't set up another time to hang out.
Well, today is supposed to be that day.
Oh.
So today is supposed to be that day. But listen, so he calls me. This was Thursday night. Calls me Saturday morning. I wake up to a call from him. I answer. He doesn't. I'm like, hello? And he's not answering. So I hang up and I call him right back. He doesn't answer. And I send him like, hey, I just tried to call you back. And then he had asked me about like how things are. So I responded to that. He never responds for 3 days. He calls me that morning.
Kind of does the weird mouth breather thing. You didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything. I call him back.
Well, he does have a weird phone situation to what so maybe that is.
So I don't hear from him.
But that's not an excuse in today's society.
So then he texts me 2 days ago, and he doesn't respond to any of my messages. He just says, hey, how are you? How's your dad? How's time with your dad? And I'm like, wait, so you're gonna, I'm confused.
He's going to ghost the prior conversation and try to enter into a new
this is
one.
what happens. I'm very direct. I'm very direct. I don't play games. I speak to I'm like, I'm going to address this right now.
And you should have. That's an elephant in the room if he just tries to move on from a conversation that you asked a question and he didn't answer.
So, hi.
Yeah.
Thought I lost you there.
WTF.
And it was like, what's good?
Yeah.
Basically, like, haven't heard from you. I'm assuming, like, did we get a little too close the other night? And this is the avoidance speaking.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm always trying to find, like, my balance with that. But he was like, the truth is, I'm also have been going on a couple dates with someone else.
Okay.
Which, totally cool.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to find and I've been stressing about it and been trying to find the courage to tell you, but it's been stressful liking you both, essentially. And
all right, that's at least honest.
Totally.
But also, like,
it's a little late.
Yeah, and also in like a weird order.
Yeah.
I
had to
basically
address it.
Yeah, you had to basically like pull.
I had to be like, what the fuck?
And you weren't even exclusive. It was just dates.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, date whoever you want.
Yeah, if he's gonna be that coy, or I guess close to the vest about something when you're not even really dating, imagine if something big happens when you are dating.
I was just like, we've had multiple opportunities for this to come up.
Yeah.
I've talked about who I'm dating, if I'm open to seeing other people, and now you're going to slide that in as the reason why you're being MIA. That's fine. But like I said, I'm just going to notice the behavior. And I was like, I'm going to see my way out.
Yeah.
And like, wish you well. No harm, no foul. But like, there doesn't need to be continued stress around it because I'm going to exit now.
Well, I think you handled it well from, again, not trying to like elevate the confrontation.
Yeah.
Like you just basically said, that's cool, but that's not the level of communication that's required for me.
What I said was...
not meeting my expectations.
What I said was, I value clear communication.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you letting me know now. And there doesn't need to be more stress. Go explore that connection for sure. Yeah. And like, I'll see.
I think you made the right call.
Yeah. Well, just because it interesting to be on the heels of that night. Like, this is all
And
happening.
to be on this like weird in between, you
I was
didn't
like,
know
okay.
what. You just want the solid. And this is a problem in dating. You go on the date, you like one person thinks that they had a good time, and then the other person maybe doesn't. There's no communication about that. So then one person's kind of off in this void of like, hey, this was great. And the other person's like, I hope they never talk to me again.
Right.
Well,
and what the communication I did get back was like, I'm never felt closer to you. Like, this is blah, blah, blah. This is amazing. So happy.
But you couldn't tell me something so basic.
Or just
that like, hey, listen.
Communicate.
Yeah.
So that is like baseline, consistent communication, being honest. Because here's the thing when it comes to trust in any kind of relationship. And as we're developing, getting to know each other and exploring if there's compatibility, I'm noticing, do you say what you're going to do? Like, do you do what you say you're going to do? So if you're like, hey, can I follow up with you on Monday? And you don't follow up with me on Monday, noted, right? If you say, hey, we're going to make plans and you don't make plans, noted. I'm just watching the behavior and then I'm going to pivot accordingly. I'm not here to convince you to do anything. I'm not here to beg you to do anything. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm just going to notice and keep it moving. And then that's like, I'm going to let you do whatever you want to do. Like the Mel Robbins let them theory is
it's genius.
I
hope she's watching this.
Thank you, Mel Robbins,
Please.
For
hire this person to do work with you because I feel like the two of you are just on the same frequency.
But there is nothing more empowering than letting people be who they are.
100%.
And not expecting them to be different. Like the expectation is just clear communication and being open and transparent. I'm an adult. I can handle the truth. I am a big fucking girl. Give me the dignity of knowing the truth and then I'll decide how I want to fit into that and if that works for me or not. But if we're going to build something, whether it's even just a friendship, like what we're doing is that like it's built on truth. Trust is a byproduct of truth.
That's where love comes from.
Period.
You said it on the last episode.
Yeah.
You should watch and listen to the last episode, by the way.
Yeah.
Really good.
If you didn't watch last week's episode, go watch that.
It's so good.
What did you love about it?
I just thought first of all, our chemistry is fantastic on air.
But that's easy.
Yeah, that was easy. I think back and forth about dating is something that people really like these days. I just think people like hearing the experiences that we're going through. Single people in a fun city. Yeah. Because it's fun. It is fun. I use that word fun. Like it has its moments of fun because it's like this playground and you never know who you're going to meet. Like you could literally go out to, a hotel, Cosmos, and a celebrity is there and you rub elbows with someone at the Chandelier Bar and it's like, whoa. Or you could be at like a dive bar, grimy, the Sand Dollar on Christmas Eve and be in a completely different element that is also conducive to dating. It really is it's a fun city to date in, but it's also very challenging because the other part of it that I love from our last conversation about dating was you just don't know where each person's head is at. Because unlike where I'm coming from, I'm from New York, everyone wants to date and get married. And like, it's like a goal, it's a game, it's like to get to the end of the rainbow. Here, I feel like everyone's at a very different level. Some people want to date seriously. Some people just want to have fun. Some people are divorced. Most people are transient. This is their second stop in life, their second chapter. And not everyone has that same one track mind of get married, have kids, settle down. Like a lot of the people, I think more people than not that live here are kind of in this different mode. Yeah. And you just have to figure it out through communication, through actually having conversations. Where are you? Like, do you want to date for dating? Do you want to date for love? Do you want to date for sex? Do you want to date for marriage? Like, what part of the game are you at? Right. But people don't want to admit that. No. And they just want to keep it hidden, but you're killing any chances of having real connection.
So my dad was just in town. And I was going to have him on the show.
I was praying.
I was so excited.
That would have been so awesome.
To have him on the show because he's seen me through all of my different relationships over the years. He's seen all the guys I've brought home. He's heard all the stories.
Down in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. And
you hear that Southern twang come out sometimes with her.
I was going to bring him on the show and ask him for dating advice because he and my mom were married for 36 years. And then he's been with his current girlfriend for 6 years. He knows a thing about long-term, sustainable, healthy relationships. And obviously the dating climate is different than when he was dating. But what I was trying to explain to him last night was Vegas is an interesting city to date in because it's so transient
Yep.
and there's so many visitors and they're here for work or they're here for a conference or they're here for a weekend. And I know it's the same for guys because the girls that are here, they want to go out and be wined and dined and have this expectation of like the best of the best. Like,
Yep.
take me to the club and take me to the Poppy
And the
Steakhouse and take
clubs
me
are
blah, blah, blah.
so
Yeah.
brutal here.
Like, we've done
They're
that.
so
We don't want to
fake.
keep doing
I'm almost
that.
40 years old.
Yeah.
I can't do the
Yeah,
clubs
exactly.
anymore.
And for me, I'm at that age where I'm thinking about my future and
Yeah.
what's important to me. And
What is
so,
important to you?
like,
Besides communication, obviously that's a baseline. But when you think about like the next 5 years of your life, doesn't have to be the location where you are, but like you close your. I do this all the time. I close my eyes and I'm like, all right. Mostly it's with career stuff.
Yeah.
Where am I, and what emotions am I feeling at that time that are happy? To me, that's manifesting. It's not about what you want. It's about how you feel when you get it. So that's what I think about. Like the feelings in 5 years. Like again, mostly I don't think about my love life too much in this sense. It's mostly career. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Like, in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about, I don't know how my future is going to unfold. And I hold this as like what I desire. And will I be okay if I don't get this? Yes. Because I've established a relationship with myself where I'm okay without it. I'm okay regardless. And I know, one, you can't force love. You can't force a relationship. And that's something I'm never going to do. So unless I meet somebody who I wrote a post about this yesterday, so I'm going to go into that, but like who I don't feel like I'm settling for, then I'm good on my own. If I feel like I have to settle to be with you in order to have a relationship and a family, I'm doing myself a disservice.
And when you say settle, I think that's an interesting word because we use it a lot. Expand on that word.
Like, I am giving up. I'm lowering my standard to be with you.
Yep.
And because I'm afraid nothing better is going to come along or that I don't deserve what I really desire. That
was a big takeaway from our last episode too, when you told the story about when you went to San Diego. And you felt like because you were getting something that everyone coveted
right
on the surface level, that you couldn't speak out against whatever issue, like the anger, the frustrations that you were having. You felt like I couldn't speak out because I was in this perfect situation, but it wasn't. It was only perfect on the outside. I think defining what that situation is matters a lot because a lot of times we use the word settle, and it's like if one little thing is off, well, then I'm settling. You need to kind of define the container more where it's like, all right, these are the values that are the most important values to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it's something that I don't like outside of those core values, I'm not just going to think I'm settling.
Right.
But those core values are like, non-negotiables, non-starters.
Yeah, there's non-negotiables and then there's like preferences.
Yeah. The preferences you need to be a little, because we're perfectionists.
Moldable. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not going to get I don't think there's a perfect person. There's no perfect relationship. But
I think that's why a lot of people struggle is because they are waiting for that and they never get it because it's unattainable.
I don't need perfection. I need effort. Okay.
And communication.
I need communication. I need reciprocal effort. I need respect. I need you to have more than self-awareness. I need you to be doing something with that awareness. I need you to actively be putting forth the work on yourself to better yourself so that your past doesn't sabotage our present. Because I'm putting that effort in. And I'm not going to ask from my partner something I'm unwilling to do myself. If I can give it to myself, you at least need to meet me there, if not exceed what I'm bringing to the table.
I think that's a growth mindset, and that's a very easy way to put it. Like, you need someone that has a growth mindset.
100%.
And if they don't even try. Like, you're wasting your time.
Well, and I'm probably gonna
Yeah.
realize that pretty quickly.
And if you
and not
exactly, you're
entertain it.
you're wasting her time. More importantly,
But there are so I wrote a post yesterday on Instagram,
was
and
really good, by the way.
thank you. But I was obviously
you
thinking
were-
about the things I've been going through lately. And
now that I know what you're dealing, now that I know the tea, that post makes a lot more sense.
so essentially, I was thinking that a lot of the things that we say we want in a partner, I hear a lot of women and men, saying, I want someone who's emotionally intelligent. I want someone who's self-aware.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I get it. I do too. And self-awareness is just the first step to growth and healing. It's not the finish line. So self-awareness in and of itself is not enough. There are a lot of people who are self-aware that are aware of their toxic traits. They're aware of their habitual patterns. They're aware of their issues, and yet they choose to live in it.
100%.
That isn't going to work for me. Even if you can talk about it, like this is a lot of times people who've been in their talk therapy, they're so aware of their stuff, but they have gotten stuck. They don't know how to shift it. So I have a lot of compassion and empathy for people who are it's like a mental trap. They're mentally masturbating over what, oh, I'm an avoidant, or oh, I'm anxious, or oh, like I'm trying to get validation from this person, or oh, this, like I tend to be a people pleaser. But if you continue to choose that, that's on you. And the love requires vulnerability. Love and intimacy requires you to make a new choice. And if you are continuing to choose the same thing and expect different results, you, my friend, are insane. And I don't want to be with an insane person. I want to be with somebody who is willing to see it, acknowledge it, become aware of it, and say, okay, when this happens again, I'm going to make a new choice. And that might be hard, and that might be uncomfortable, and that might be scary, but my courage outweighs my fear. I think what I'm looking for in a partner is someone like, in terms of values, you need to have courage. If not, you're a wimp, you're scared, you're a little boy. A man is a man of courage, and he's willing to live and share and act from his heart, not just his dick, and or a fear-based, over-analytical mind that doesn't allow him to access his heart in any way. And that's what I'm looking for. And is that hard? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to live in isolation. It's hard to repeat the patterns over and over. It's hard to also do what you've always done. And because that's not working for us, So I will happily wait and continue to cultivate a relationship with my community, with myself, and with my family that's nourishing until I find somebody who's like willing to meet me in that, because I am a loyal ride or die. I love hard. I go hard for my people, and I just want the same in return.
Wife material right there. I'll use another sports cliche from one of my favorite movies, A League of Their Own.
Love that movie. Love that movie.
Tom Hanks.
Yes.
It's the hard that makes it great.
Yes.
That's what and we talk about this on the workout side a lot, the voluntary adversity.
Right. I'm choosing the discomfort.
That you put yourself through in order to obtain something. I think we can see it in the physical world. Mm-hmm. I think that's the issue that a lot of men have. And again, I'm speaking this from the wounded masculine, now finding healing man type vibe, which is, I would say, about most of the men in this country. I would argue that most men in our age group have no idea that they're walking around with this gigantic hole inside of their heart that they just have no access to. They're in denial about it. Some people wake up from it, but they don't do anything about it. Yeah, or they're just not. Yeah, they're just numb to it. They just ignore it. But you just have to acknowledge it. Fill it with something. It's really hard to communicate. It is. I understand, coming from a wounded masculine background, of it is hard to say something that you want when you are not sure that the other person feels that same way, wants it back. Totally. Expressing the emotion of, even if it's something as simple as, I had a really good time last night and I really enjoyed spending time with you, and I hope we get to spend time again. in like the cool vibe dating world, that's like, you don't do that.
It's like, it's the whole.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to express that.
The game of dating is like, who can act like they care the least?
Yes.
Like, don't catch feelings. Like, let's pretend like
that is
like
fucking wrong.
So dumb.
It's the opposite of what the two of us are looking for.
Absolutely.
If I had a situation come up recently where it was very nonchalant.
Mm-hmm.
Let's meet for coffee at this time. Okay, let's do it. And then as the day happened and I confirmed, it became like this very nonchalant, or just not respond till the last minute, where it's like there is no direct, hey, I can't make it today. Let's plan another time.
Right.
It's not that I don't want to, it's because I can't. It was like, bullshit excuses where it's like, I know this isn't the truth. I know you're just like not in the mood, or something else happened, or another date, whatever, but there's no truth.
Yeah.
There's no direct. And so I'm sitting there wondering, does she not like me? Does she still want to hang out?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Well, something I've had to learn, because this whole recent situation, dating in general, once you really start working on yourself, that becomes, now we're talking about conscious partnership and conscious relating. That is very different than when it's just two people's wounds have attracted each other and we're
hot.
like
Let's
trauma bonding and we're all that. You know what I mean? Now we're talking about pursuing a conscious relationship with a conscious human being who's doing the work on themselves. That is the playground to practice doing the hard thing, which is having the confrontation. There's like 3 C's that, especially for men or women who are avoidant, that like scare them to death.
Oh, I'm petrified of confrontation.
Confrontation.
Petrified. I'm waiting for our
conflict.
First
Commitment.
Yeah, I'm waiting for our first little squabble back. Yeah, I'm curious how it'll go. I bet it'll go great. It'll go great.
Closeness and commitment. Those are like the 3 things that an avoidant's like. For an avoidant, like the first 3 or 4 to 6 months, they're good, and then all of a sudden they feel like overwhelmed with the commitment and the closeness, and
That's most men.
Yeah.
And because I think a lot of it too comes from shame. They are ashamed of feeling those things because they're been told it's weak. And so if I don't talk about it, well, then it doesn't exist. No, the feelings are still there.
And that's the time that most men are like, maybe I'm not as attracted to her as I think.
Yeah, they figure out a reason to keep you at arm's length.
Maybe
Or they do what your friend did and they just ignore a conversation that happened and just try to move into a new section of a conversation that
does not work.
That is the classic avoidant strategy.
Totally.
Like you just it completely ignore, like it didn't even happen. Like if I just ignore it, then it didn't exist. Like if I can't look at it.
Right.
Like that game you used to play, peekaboo, like you can't see me. Like no, actually you're there.
Bitch, it's still right
No, bitch, you're still there.
Yeah. So like my highest value, one of my highest values is truth. And so if we can't operate in truth, then this isn't going to last very long. Yeah. And denial is the opposite. You know what I mean? When I'm in denial of the truth, then I'm running, I'm avoiding, I'm masking, I'm doing all those things.
To go back to a conversation we had right off the top, we've had the discussion about dating before. We had it.
Yep.
It was on New Year's Eve. And
was it?
Yeah, I was very open about it. I was like, hey, listen, the reason that I got in touch with you is obviously not for those reasons.
Right.
But when I got to know you a little bit and we went on had some very interesting, intimate moments together, I gained an attraction for you.
What intimate moments are you recording?
Ceremony.
Okay.
But not in the romantic way.
Yeah.
And
that's a boundary for me.
Yeah, and we had a really strong discussion about that. Where the truth was all out there on the table.
Totally. The nature of my work, too, brings people very close. And that closeness can be interpreted, especially by men, as romantic attraction or availability, or this is an open door. And for me, it's not that you're not amazing. It's that I have to have boundaries in the work that I do in order to maintain the sacredness and the safety of
And we set up that boundary and we discussed it and it was all out. There was no ambiguity about it.
Right. So let's just talk about it. And that's what I welcome. And honestly, what hurts me if what brings confrontation and conflict into my life is when someone doesn't honor that.
Yeah.
and hides things from me, withholds things from me, and then it later comes out, that feels like a betrayal.
Yes.
Because I do so much work to try and create a safe space where you can come be honest, even if it's weird, even if it's uncomfortable. Like we can work through this, we can talk through it. But if you don't give me the if you don't bring that to me, and then later it comes up,
You just have to talk about it.
then I feel like I'm hurt because I've done everything that I can to try and make this a safe place, and you chose not to do it. And I also know it's not personal. Like people, there's so many reasons why people like feel like they can't be honest. And again, I have a lot of empathy and compassion. But if you want to be in my inner intimate circle, that is come correct. Come correct in that way. Bring me the truth, even if it hurts. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. We can work through it.
The truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free.
Is that a song? I think it is. That's a saying I use all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
It's 100% true.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the nature of the work that I do is disarmoring.
Oh, again, she has seen me at the most intimate and vulnerable moment in my entire life.
Exactly. And I hold
the most vulnerable moment of my entire life. She was there for me. So that's why there was that like immediate
close. You get close.
Intimacy.
Yeah, it's so true.
But it wasn't romantic, and we talked about it very early on.
Yeah. And that is like the greatest honor of my life, to be witness to those experiences with people. And
yeah, that was a heavy night.
It's beautiful, and
it was.
It's so sacred, and I take it really seriously. So.
I think that's again one of the things that you do so well is bringing people together. That and it's that vibe, I think, sometimes that maybe blinds you from the romantic side of it, where you're very much trying to bring people into this circle, but not everyone always respects the circle.
Right.
And you're bringing in people that maybe just more vetting.
Yeah.
A little more vetting.
Yeah.
That's why you have me. I'm a big bro.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we have your second ceremony coming up.
I'm very excited for that.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling like I'm thinking it could be a career ceremony. So the last thing was all about my dad, my deceased father, who basically came to me that night and gave me a full, I guess, apology in a sense, almost apologizing for his absence over the course of my life. And he passed when I was 34, but my parents split up when I was 13, and he kind of was in the background from that point on. And he was sick and then got sicker and then eventually passed. And that, I was expecting my mom to come to me that night. My mom's still alive. I have a great relationship with my mom. We love each other, and she's my rock. But, that she was always there. So I expected her to be kind of my spirit guide that night.
Yeah.
But I needed that moment to step into a vulnerability that I didn't know existed, which was the masculine wound. I always thought I was, jock, sports guy. But there was like an inner depth that was not really being tested with my true strength, my true masculinity, and it came through truth, his truth, which he wasn't able to share. Like he never told.
And it set you free.
Yeah, the context of it was, so my dad, who was sick for a while with kidney disease, kidney failure, got a kidney transplant. Then he actually healed from that. He got a kidney transplant and he got better. But he got better by essentially malnourishing himself because he thought that if he didn't eat, then his kidney transplant, his single kidney, would last longer and he'd live longer. But what he did was he stopped nourishing himself. He stopped eating. He started eating crap, and he just didn't give himself the proper nourishment to stay, lively and vital. And then he got into his late 60s, and his health kind of broke down, and he didn't have the strength because he was not nourished properly to fight off a lot of the illnesses and diseases. He ended up contracting skin cancer all over his body, but it was really bad on his shoulder. And he never told us that he had cancer. He never had the strength to tell his two kids, me and my younger sister, that he was sick. Everything was always fine. He's fine. He's fine. Even though he was wasting away. And I'm like, Dad, you don't look good. He's like, everything's fine. I'm fine. And he came to me that night and he said, I was not strong enough to be truthful to you about what was happening, but your strength is your truth. And that was like, whoa, deep. That's when I lost it.
Yeah.
That's when that was the most, I'm not a crier. That was and she was there. She was the first person I remember breaking me out of it and hugging me. That was the deepest anyone's ever seen me emotionally before, ever.
Well, what a release. It's
Yeah.
just like this weight.
Years, decades, 2 decades of it.
That's the thing, most people, and it's not just men, people are walking through the world carrying these things. They have no idea
No clue.
the energy that it takes to hold that, how it affects every aspect of your life. And then that you get this relief and you're like, oh, wait, I can breathe for the first time in so long. And this thing makes sense. And I have a peace despite the pain's not, you know what I mean? It's painful that my dad's not here and all of that. Like that gets to still be true, but there's now a piece that's like the greatest gift that
It's
I
truth.
think Sarah, it's truth.
Like I saw him for who he was that night, which was a wounded man.
And you can love him and accept him for that versus what you needed him to be, what
being
he wasn't
angry at him
you.
for not being there.
Right.
Like his son was a starting quarterback on the varsity football team. He never came to see me play.
Yeah.
Like I remember that. I was 18. I'm 39 now almost. Like I remember that 20 years later. I remember that. Like you carry it with you and then you push it down because you got all this other shit you got to worry about. And you don't realize that it's still impacting every decision you make, every reaction you have. Like every time someone triggers that abandonment wound unintentionally, you tap into a wounded reactionary response, a fight or flight.
To protect
that you're
yourself.
just always in. You're always in that fight or flight, which wears down your mentality, which wears down your vitality, how you feel about yourself, your health, what you put in your body. It impacts everything. That was October 7th, the night of our first ceremony. And I have that date written down on my board because I can't even quantify the change of how I feel about myself. Nothing else has really changed. I was still dieting. I was still very much in like a fitness mode then, but I noticed differences on how I treat myself, on how I view myself, on how I respond to certain situations. When I get talked down to because someone thinks I'm weak, I hold myself in a much stronger regard because now I know I have truth on my side. The truth is on my side now.
Yeah.
And that is a very powerful feeling.
Yeah. It's everything. And when you tap into that, that becomes the standard. That's what, you know what I mean? In your life.
Changes the standard for every other relationship
else will
you have.
do.
No.
Nothing else hits the mark of intimacy and love like truth. And I don't want that's what settling is to me. Anything that's not that, you know? And so is that a high standard? Maybe to some people, but that is my standard and I hold it in high regard and I hold the people in my life, like their truth is their truth. And ultimately, when we honor our truth, what I have also found, and how this relates to like relationships, is like when I honor my truth, that inevitably is true for you too. Like meaning like if this relationship isn't right for me and I honor that, then it's not right for you either.
Yep. Because it takes two people to be in a right relationship.
Exactly. You deserve somebody who can fully choose you. And so what we think, so we're all so afraid of like, oh, I don't want them to think this of me, or I don't want to be the bad guy, or I don't want to hurt them, so I'm going to stay
Just
in this
be you.
relationship. Honor your truth because what you think is going to hurt somebody might help them more. Yes, it might hurt to have that acknowledge the truth, but it's going to free you and that is the greatest gift you can give somebody. And to watch you get that night and to see how it's affected you in the months since then. And like, how are you preparing for this one now that you have context for what that's like and what can happen in ceremony? By the way, for those who were like, what ceremony? I work with ancient plant medicine and we're specifically talking about psilocybin. Yeah, which is magic mushrooms.
Have you talked a lot about psilocybin on the shows before?
A bit, yeah, here and there.
Because I think the context of what it is and what it's becoming is important. Like we're not going out to the club and bumping out some sweet beats for a few hours. Like that's while we're tripping out balls. Like that's not what this is. I refer to ceremony she's obviously the one that coined that phrase, or I don't know where you got it from, but I think that is a very apropos way to describe it.
It is.
It is not popping pills and going out to the clubs.
Well, if you think about a ceremony, like life, like
it's intent.
It's intent. Yeah. Marriage is a ceremony.
Yes.
Death is a ceremony. Birth is a ceremony. It's like these life-changing moments that you want to have intention
Yes.
and a container around to honor, when, you know, like when we have these milestone moments in our life. And ceremony is what I call the place that we remember, like that we remember our truth. We remember who we are. And, you know, like near death experiences can be that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
You
A birth of
see
a child
things.
can be that kind of thing. The death of a parent can be that. It ushers you in. There was the you before it, and then there's the you after it.
Yep.
There's the pre-death and post-death. And in ceremony, there is essentially like the death of who you were
Yep.
and the birth of this new version of you that you end up kind of blossoming into. It's the caterpillar leaves the cocoon and becomes the butterfly in the span of 7 hours. And I tell people who are considering sitting in ceremony, it's like your new life is gonna cost you your old one. And so you might revisit some things from your life that are hard, but that is the price for freedom. And that is the price for healing and
For
for
truth. Yeah.
And
That's what
it
I'm
takes a
looking
lot
for.
it takes everyone. I honor everyone who does it, because the number one thing you have to have when you go into it is courage. And I say courage is like one of my highest values, because you're trusting and you're surrendering to a power higher than you.
It was not the first time I did it. I think the fear of the unknown is difficult.
It's hardest thing for everybody.
Yeah. And
Losing control,
100%.
unsure of what's
And
gonna
that's
happen.
what my mom asked me about, because she was fearful about it.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
She was like, were you afraid? I've had this conversation, I think, with you. She asked me if I was afraid. And I said, yes and no. Like, obviously, the fear of the unknown. Like, I don't have that fear of the unknown this time. I know what to expect with the operation, the procedure.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what it's going to show me.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to prepare. I want to sit with the intention of doing it. I don't want to prepare for what it's going to show me. I don't want to like pray. Yeah, I don't want to be like, please show me what my next step of my career is. Is my future bright? Like, it's not a magic 8 ball.
Right.
Like, I want it to show, because what it does is it peels back the layers of your brain, and it doesn't allow your ego to block what's really happening.
Yes.
It actually shows you what you are meant to see. What really is going on in there that your other parts are being suppressed. And I think that is, again, afraid because you have no control over the message. Whereas in your brain, if a thought enters your head that you don't like, you just push it out.
Yeah.
Here you can't do that. You just have to surrender is really the best word for it. And trust really is another good word for it. Not only the facilitator, but also your own body, your own mind, your own soul to be truthful with you. Like, it's really a conversation with your soul.
Yes. That's the thing I always say.
Yeah.
You have to come in with the mindset that this is going to help me, not hurt me. This is going to help, like, heal me. I'm going to move forward in my life, not backwards.
It's like running a really long marathon. It is not going to be pleasant or fun, and you have no idea how you're going to feel afterwards, but you're going to learn something from it.
Totally.
Like, it's really putting yourself through that voluntary adversity. Mm-hmm. Like, it really all goes back to that. If you put yourself and leave your comfort zone, and it goes back to dating and asking you out. If you want to ask this person out right here, you need to be very afraid of what she's going to say. You need to leave.
Don't be afraid.
No, but you need to have some level of fear.
Respect.
You need to have some level of courage. Like you said, like, you need to put aside your ego and actually surrender to the moment of whatever it is that you're requiring at that time. And I think that is
the potentiality of what could be if you were so honest to be yourself.
You have to be a little afraid.
Yeah.
You really do. If you're not a little afraid, then everything that is good in life is worth leaving your comfort zone.
Well, it's like your whatever dream. If it's the girl, the job, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Like, if the girl that you're asking out doesn't make you a little nervous, you're probably settling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, just in general, like, if you want something, you're not. We have this, and we talked about this too with the fitness thing. Like, you see the before and after, and you're like, I want the after. Everybody wants change. Nobody wants to do anything that's required for change. Like, and it is not comfortable. You have to actually put yourself in adversarial situations where you are scared. Am I going to overcome this?
Right.
There should be a little doubt. Does she like me? Am I wasting my time? Fuck it. I'm gonna ask.
I'm gonna go anyway.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
go. I'm gonna shoot my shot. Right? That's the phrase. Shoot your shot in life, not just with dating.
Of
In
course.
life, like if you want that body, if you want that fitness, do something that is actually going to put you through anguish, physical anguish.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Oh, that's another sports cliche. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You do. And the worst thing that they could say, I used to use this in sales, is no.
Yeah, we have a fear of rejection in our society.
You have to be able to handle rejection. I spent 6 years in outside sales, and then I was a sales trainer before I started my business.
Corporate
You have to get very comfortable with being told no
100%.
and not personalizing that to mean anything about who you are.
Which is very hard. The ego doesn't like that.
Because we attach that as I'm worthless. I'm no good. No one sees my value. I must not be attractive.
And that's a normal response. But the growth, spirituality is being able to understand that response is your ego. It's not actually you.
And
you're just observing that.
And the true you is so inherently valuable. Once you meet the true you, you're like, oh, I know my worth. I know my value. And I know your worth. And I know your value. And I treat you like a human being that is decent and valuable and important and because we all are. It's not just like, now I have this spiritual ego and I'm so valuable. It's like, so do you.
Spiritual narcissism is
this plant, and so is this animal. And so I want to take care of life itself because it's precious and it matters. And so once you tap into your own divinity, you want to take care of it. You want to honor it. That's why you start, people who are abusing themselves, whether it's physically with food or alcohol or drugs or whatever kind of thing that we're addicted to, we have lost touch and forgotten how valuable we are. Because if we really knew it, we would treat ourselves with the most love and appreciation and dignity.
That's self-love in a nutshell.
It is.
I think we oversimplify it by like, oh, it's a facial or it's a pedicure.
Yeah.
But it's the intent behind that facial.
Right.
It's because I want to feel good about myself. I want to look good. I want to be at my best. And there's a million decisions you make throughout the course of your week, your day, your month. How can I be at my best? And a lot of times we say, I don't need that. Like, I can get by without that. No, if you want to do it, do it. Yeah. Like, I think that was a big decision that A, got me out here to Vegas. B, got me in the mindset that I am now, which is, stop saying no to yourself if it's something you really want. If it's something you really want, do it. Like, you don't always, now there's a discipline and you can't just eat all the time. You have to have, but like, if you want something and you're not actively going for it and you're just like, then you're not giving yourself the best chance to succeed.
You're giving yourself no chance to succeed. Yeah. I mean, you're literally now living in fairyland where you're just hoping that a stork's going to drop a baby at your door and that God's going to knock.
I see those memes all the time.
And bring your partner being like, hi.
I just want him to knock at my door and he disappears. I don't want to go out or do anything for it.
It's like, ladies, and I'm having to tell this to myself. It's like, if you want to meet somebody, you have to get out.
Go to Costco.
Go get out in the world. Go to Costco.
I mean, come on.
Jared's waiting for you.
I'm literally at Costco around this time of day.
I love that Curtis in the back is laughing.
I'm usually perusing. Our producer back there is having a blast at this.
He's like,
that's how I know if the episode's good, is if our producer's laughing. Just kind of like peruse like the clothes aisle,
the protein bar
aisle.
Oh,
the fitness, that's low hanging fruit. But like, you just look at like the people that are really engaged in their Costco shopping vibes. Those are people that you're going to see there a lot. And then just make mental notes. You don't want to walk up to everyone. You don't want to be that guy.
No.
You want to make mental notes of people you see there. You go there at the same time. I do this at the gym too. I go to the gym. I try it at the same time every day. And I try to get, A, it's good for routines, but B, it's like, oh, I see her a lot. Mm-hmm. I think that's another thing. This is speaking directly to the guys. I think the approach, we have lost the ability to approach. I think online dating, social media has crippled men with actually going up to a woman, making them feel safe with a couple of lines of text, of chat. Like, it's always so creepy or so contrived these days, where in reality, if you just took a step back, went to the gym every day at the same time for a month, or 3 times a week, same time for a month. Make mental notes of the women you see there.
Yeah.
One of them's cute. the 5th or 6th time you see her, be like, hey, listen, I see her all the time. Like, what
like,
kind of work? Just
open a conversation.
Yeah, start a conversation that's very natural and engaging, and it's not creepy and weird.
Yeah.
Like, I see you here all the time. What are you doing? Like,
well, there's the keyboard warriors who are like, I know how to get, like, I have my ways of like starting conversations, but does that translate to the real world? Can you, I would wonder.
Men are petrified to go up to women and talk to them.
How many men, like, out of the last 10 women, 5 women you've asked out on dates, how many of those have been in person?
I actually just had one. Actually, this is a good story. So, there's a girl that lives in my community, and you know my community. It has this like restaurant and gym, and it's like very like, I see a lot of the same people at these little social gatherings all the time. And it was Saturday night, and it was her and her friend were wearing Lions gear at the bar in my community watching the Lions game. And we're in Vegas. I don't see a lot of Detroit people here very often. I know there are, I'm sure, but you just don't see a lot of people wearing Lions gear around town very often. Yeah. It's very rare. So I'm a sports guy. I know about sports. These women are watching sports. One of them's really cute. She lives in my community. I've seen her at the gym all the time. So I went up to her. I said, "Hey, I see you at the gym all the time. I did not know you were from Michigan." And then we started talking about Michigan. And I worked in Michigan, so we chatted about that. And then, boom, now I have her number, and we're gonna hang out.
Great.
Like, those are, again, the type of, and it might lead to absolutely nothing.
Sure.
But it was and I said to myself, I was wearing like literally this, like joggers and a t-shirt. Like, I wasn't like going out. I was getting a pizza, going back to my apartment because I'm a nut job that watches all the games by himself because of my job. But I remember thinking to myself, this is one of those opportunities where I'm a little bit fearful. She's with her friend. It could be awkward.
Courage.
It could be awkward. I could be barking up the complete wrong tree. But then I was like, you know what? I look good. I'm just going to go up and talk to her. Like, that all of a sudden I like silenced the self-doubt.
But
and
that's
just
why you're stepping into your fucking power.
Stepping into my power.
And weak men lack courage.
Yes.
Period.
It's actually, that was a good story to tell. And I think that's a good example to set.
It is.
If there's that little vibe in you that says, go talk to her, just go talk to her, but don't be weird about it. And if it turns out to not be nothing and she's like really like avoidant, just walk away. Just be like, oh, it's great to meet you. And then just leave. And not personal at all.
Not that scary.
No.
We're not that bad.
It is scary until you start talking. It is definitely a...
Well, yes, the anxiety leading up. Because
it's
no one wants to be rejected. Nope. No one wants to be judged. No one wants to be embarrassed. No one wants to be humiliated. I get it. But, like, you can read the vibes. If she seems like she's open and enjoying herself, like, just have social awareness.
Yes.
And read the room.
If she's giving you one-word responses and her eyes are down here.
She doesn't want to continue. She wants to hang out with her friend.
Just
leave her alone.
Leave her alone. And she broke the touch barrier pretty quickly. That's how I knew I was in. That was... Yeah, like once the touch barrier is broken, if she's the one that initiates, you're good, guys. You're good. But that was like, you just have to understand that and then also not... take that to another level where then you're just like abusing the touch barrier. Like
don't do that either.
No, don't do that either. Like it is kind of like an interview. You just have to have that awareness of what's happening. And then this is why I struggle on dates, because I talk for a living. I can talk to anyone. So like everyone I talk to,
he's like, every date is amazing.
We've had this conversation before. Every date I go on's great because like I can talk to a fucking brick wall. But I don't know if this person actually likes me or if it's just I'm really good at conversation.
Yeah.
I know.
Maybe we should implement a feedback form.
It's turned into a vent session.
We should implement a feedback form.
I think the coachable podcast should be renamed to the dating coachable podcast.
Well, we're coaching people on how to.
We should do like scenario. We should do like role plays.
Okay.
We should do role plays of like. Tori's at a bar, and I'm going up to her and trying to pick her up. How to approach, or like how not to approach. Yeah. I think that's
what not to do.
See, exactly. Producer gave that a thumbs up. Like, how not to approach, I think, is a better.
What not to do. That's coming on the next episode of the Coachable Podcast, you guys. Oh man, you're so easy to talk to, Jared.
Fuck, I'm screwed. I'm never gonna find a wife.
Which is why,
or a second wife.
You're just gonna keep going on Costco dates, and we're gonna keep having conversations, and maybe we'll get there together.
No, I think that's the way to go.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Courage.
Courage. That is my takeaway.
I think that's the word of the
I
day.
think that is the word
It's
of
the
the
word of the
day. And for you guys at home, women, men, find your kahunas, get some good, like, put on your big girl
Plums.
panties.
I can feel it in my plums.
And find your courage.
Just go up to people and talk. I have a friend, dear friend in Florida, and she's like, Jared, you're hot. Just go up to women and talk to them. Like, just walk up to a girl and say, hey, you look interesting. Do you want to have a conversation? And, like, obviously be a little bit more subtle than that, but just do it. Just try.
Yeah.
And if she says no, just walk away.
Yeah.
Just walk away. Just be like, all right, bye.
Courage, when you look at the word courage, the root word is cur, and that means heart.
Love it.
Courage means living.
That's why she does the ceremonies.
So when you're connected to your heart and you live from your heart, then you're just expressing and being yourself in the world, and the right people are going to be attracted to that. The wrong people are going to be like repelled by that. And trust that when you're living in your truth, you're living from your heart, you are a magnet to the things that are meant for you.
And if someone repels you, it's not a reflection on you.
Right.
It's just your frequency. I'm convinced.
Exactly.
Frequencies.
It's like magnets
Yes.
that are repelling and going in different directions.
Like ours was immediate like this.
Yeah.
Other people, whoop, other way.
It bounces off.
And you just have to not try to go back to that. I think that's a big problem we have. It's with men especially. The ego says, nah, I can get that. She said no. I can push harder.
Well, that's the square peg wrong hole thing. I've been in relationships that our frequencies were off, and I was trying to force a round peg in a square hole, and it's painful. And it created way more suffering for myself and that other person than was necessary. Wasted a lot of time. And just, like, trust, surrender, which is surrender means giving up attachment to a result. Go up, live your life, express your truth. Surrender to I'm not attached to an outcome. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens is in my highest and best good. If they reject me, they weren't for me. Like, on to the next. I'm grateful for whatever I experience because life is happening on my behalf. It is like trying to set me up for success in every moment. So if this girl or this guy or that guy ghosts me, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. I just dodged a bullet. I'm not going to waste sleep because what's meant for me, I'm not going to have to beg to be in my life.
Yeah, save your holes for the right pegs.
All right. That's how we're ending. I love you guys. I love you for that. All right.
I'm sorry. I just ruined the perfect. That was like an awesome diet.
See, we've got heart and we've got jokes.
And I just stepped all over it with my dirty gutter brain. I'm sorry.
Right. That's it. Love you. See you next week on the Coachable Podcast.